gang. How's everybody doing out there? Heather, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Believe it
Good.
or not. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to say right away too, thank you, StreamYard. With they have given labels to any kind of overlay that you do now, and also I can visibly see every single one and don't have that dark colored whatever covering it. And thank you, I appreciate it. It makes it so much easier. So if anybody from StreamYard's watching, thank you. All right. Anyway, sorry, got that out of the way.
Even if they're not.
That's right. Even if they're not. Thank you anyway. So it's really cool features that they're listening to. Good afternoon, all. Russ, how are you, sir? Mike, great to see you. Hey, Jolin, how are you? Or Jolin. It's Jolin. Hey, Susan Finch, Ron, what's going on, buddy? Go Geeks, go. I love it. Jules, all the way from England. Getting a haircut Friday. I get a haircut every day, so I understand that. Sitting in my car while Savannah is doing something. That's all right. It's finishing graduation nails for their drive-by festival festivities tomorrow. Cool. That's awesome. Great stuff.
We have got a full house out there. Full house.
Awesome. Hey, Ross.
Everybody's out there.
Nice. Richard, there you go.
Look at
Another
that.
Richard. This is awesome.
Another Richard.
Fantastic.
We got
Fantastic.
Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Peggy. I'm here too. It's hot today.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's get to it. You want to get to it, or do you want to keep going?
There's a whole bunch.
We probably could go.
We could go for like another hour. So I just wanted to make sure we said hi because there were some new faces out there.
Yeah, throw some up there.
Chuck
That's fine.
Parker is out there. Judy is out there. Love it. John. Honeybert. I just love that name. That's a nice
I do
name.
too.
Julie M is out there. I love how they know, like they don't even have to be asked where y'all from. They're just
there you go. I'll put it up there. Where are you from? What country, city, state? I might as well do it. Everybody knows it's coming. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Right.
Let's just not delay anymore. Chris, thank you for coming on Geeks on Tour. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I know a lot of your people were out there because I saw a lot of those names like Honey and a couple of those others and stuff. So that's awesome that they're here. I appreciate it. I do.
We did not do a show last Sunday, so
I know.
So this was great to have this to tell people about.
Segue right into that. It's fantastic. Well, we appreciate it. We really do. We appreciate the partnership that we have. I think it kind of is a friendship and a partnership in my eyes because we're both members of each other's community and that kind of stuff. But you're talking about one of my favorite things, and I always say, okay, what is this? My first live session with you. Bought the book and watched videos. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Good. That's awesome. Hey, Mark, there you go.
Mark.
But this is a near and dear subject to me because I think, and you've heard me say this probably, it's probably one of the best apps or products that Google, in my opinion, has ever come up with. As far as fairly consistent, of course, we always want other features and things like that. But talk about who you are, what you do, where you're from, and all that kind of stuff. What city and state are you from?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm Chris Guld, and the business is Geeks on Tour, along with my husband, who will visit us in the after party in the backstage, and he might come in sometime during this. But
awesome.
We are in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we are on day, I think this might be 81 of stay home, of shut in with this. So we might be starting to go a little bit stir crazy. But Fort Lauderdale is where we're from. I owned a computer training business here from 1983 to 96. Yeah, I was just a little girl when I started that.
That is awesome.
And Jim worked for me then. He still works for me.
I love it.
And then we sold the business.
Thank you, Cousin Russ. Looky there. Cousin Russ, thank you so much. You're a very kind gentleman. And it is the date 6/3, so he always gives the amount of whatever the date is. Anybody would always ask about what is that? Yep, Richard. There you go.
Hey, Richard. And I sold the computer training business, and we sold our house, and we lived in a motorhome for 14 years and developed a business of teaching people, fellow travelers, things about the computer. And now it's almost all smartphones. I've always been very into photography, and I wrote a book on Picasa. I was I was well known for my Picasa teaching from 2006 to 2015 when Google Photos took over, and I now have written a book on Google Photos, and I am a Google Photos product expert for Google.
You certainly are.
So
you're my expert that I go to. I can tell you that. If I ever have any questions, I reach out. But hey, folks, if you're out there, give us a thumbs up. But go ahead.
Some people did say that they had bought the book, and you can get this on Amazon, Mrs. Geek's Guide to Google Photos. But this is from this was printed in mid 2017, no, 18. Anyway, you know how fast things change. So I am diligently working on the update. So if you're thinking about buying the book, you might want to wait just a little bit and get the new one.
That lets me bring this up. I want to make sure and put your website up there, geeksontour.com. It's great. It's open to the public. You have a public side, then you have a private side for community members as well, which is awesome. I tell you, you do an excellent job. One of the biggest benefits that I have, because again, I love Google Photos, but you always have your own blog of anything that's ever updated. You have a section in there for the private members, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Actually, I think that's public.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have that behind the paywall.
So worth it. Oh my gosh. It's so cool because you're always on top of it. So I always get the current thing. I can't remember, because I'm a member, I can't remember which side it's on, but I know that I go and I find that. And it's so awesome. Thanks for doing that too, by the way.
Well, it was out of necessity, because that's one thing that I think they should do. Most software has a version history somewhere. Mm-hmm. I can't find any such thing for Google Photos. So every time I learn something new, I make sure to put it on my list of Google Photos updates.
That's fantastic. That's so awesome.
So Richard had said you are still known for Picasso. We still use it. And Russ and Kathleen both said they love it. So
yeah, they'll have to pry it out of their cold, dead fingers.
That's right. Hey, Jim has joined us in the audience.
He's just downstairs. Our real studio is downstairs, but this is my studio upstairs.
There you go. That's where you go for some quiet time, right?
Yeah.
I love it. No, this is awesome. This is great. All right. Well, you're going to talk to us today about sharing, right? We want to get into a lot of the sharing ends of it and things like that. Do you want me to bring up my part that I said I was going to bring up now, or you want me to do that after? I can do it whenever.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
One thing I do every 6 months with my grandchildren, I send them a hardback cover photo book that I make from my phone, do all of it from my phone, send it, pay for it, boom. It gets here within about a couple weeks. And this June, up until June 7th, at least on my phone, it says that it's free shipping up until June 7th on photo books. So I take advantage of that. That's why I do an early one for Christmas. I do the same thing because it's 6 months, the June to December thing. And usually by December 14th or December 9th or somewhere like around there, they usually do free shipping. So I take advantage of that free shipping. But it's amazing to have that, and the kids will have that forever. They'll get to see their lives through pictures that my son and his wife and my wife and I take. So there you go. You got one right there.
Do you get the paperback or the hardbound?
I get the hardbound. It's just like a school album for them. And I do the paper ones for my wife and I. That's awesome. That's so cool.
I love the quality of those books, whether you get the hardbound or the soft cover.
Agreed.
It's still such great quality imagery, and the paper is so nice. I have a couple of them because my friend Michael sent them to me.
I do. It's a great way to reminisce about time. Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
So Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah,
I love them.
Cool.
I love them.
So cool.
So that's what I say. Your process with Google Photos is have all your photos in Google Photos, just mark your favorites, and at the end of a year or at the end of a trip, make your favorites into a book. That's all there is to it.
I know one thing Heather always mentions about this. She wishes that you could take an album. And
I wish you could just click a button and that album, the way you made it, with all the where you've
Text.
moved things around and put text and all that could just become a book. If they could just do that, they would have already made $1 million off of me alone. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
So now, have you told her to put that in feedback, Michael?
You know I do all the time. Yeah.
Because I agree completely. One of the things I like to teach about making albums in Google Photos is that you can put text blocks and maps, and you can arrange the photos how you want. But then there's no way to print that. You can print the photos, but not everything the way you did
and
it.
It's very creative. Some of the people, if it's a shared album, like my son will put some funny comments or commentate for that particular photo. It'd be nice to just gather all that up, put it all in there, and have that go as one thing. It would be really, really cool. It really would. But anyway, off to sharing. Do you want to, share your screen? Or? Oh yeah. I do. I want to see.
How about Canvas?
That's
prints
awesome.
Then also.
That's awesome.
So this is a 11 by 14, and I told it to wrap around.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know, $30, $40, something like that.
Yeah, that's
and then
awesome.
This one is a 16 by 20. And I told it just to give me black edges, because when I wrapped it around, I lost too much of the picture. But what's so cool is how it just comes. All I need is a nail in the wall. It's ready to hang.
That's awesome.
So
that's so cool. So Olive is asking, does anyone sign the pictures in the book to personalize to the recipient? That's an interesting.
Sign the picture to personalize.
That's interesting.
So you mean, and that his name is actually Bill. There we know him as Olive Pleasant. You mean write on the sign on the inside, like autograph the book.
Oh yeah,
maybe
that'd be interesting.
But then you couldn't. But then you couldn't have them ship it to your gift recipient. You'd have to ship it to you, and then you can.
Right.
But yeah. Sounds good.
Peggy's saying, I'm assuming you might want to edit your photos before you order your book, and that's great advice. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because one thing I've learned from you too is being able to, by put them in an album, I'm picking the best ones of that. You know what I'm saying? The best ones of those albums. And that's what I'm keeping in my album. That's why it would be really great to be able to just take that album and push that off without me having to pick through every single picture and just, hey, this is what I want for the photo book.
Oh, well, you can do that.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can. I mean, this Australia-New Zealand book, I opened the Australia-New Zealand album.
Oh, okay.
And said, make me a book. But all it does is
you can definitely make a book from an album. It just moves them around. So if you moved your pictures, like put them in the order you wanted them versus the order they were taken.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's the only thing that drove me nuts about making the book out of it. Of course, the text, I would have loved to have had the text too, but yeah. Anyway.
And you can only have 100 pictures in a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I have 400 pictures in my album.
Yeah.
So.
Don't have that issue.
Okay. No, I'm glad that you brought that up first.
But also I wanted to say too, because one thing that you taught me was to individualize since I do it every 6 months, I've created a 6-month album because of that. You know, you do per month, then you push off to back them up and all that kind of stuff. And that's a whole different thing, but you kind of taught me that. So now I do the 6 month of those kids. I make like a second album of an album, which just pushes that. And that works really well. I love that. I love being able to do that. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I know I keep it
all pretty easy. Well, I have a couple of little slides here just to get me on track.
Okay.
So learn Google Photos. And yes, I am diligently working on updating the book and on making it what I call a living book. You know, the book is alive. I am putting a link on the front page of every chapter that has a link out to and a printed link. So you can either type it in or you can scan the QR code and it will take you to a Google Photos album that has tutorial videos and text where when something changes about the chapter, I will note that. So it is a living book. And chapter 8 is the one that I've just finished my first draft of sharing. And that link is in the chat.
All right. I will put that in for you now.
That's smart.
Yeah. If anybody wants to follow along, the chapter is in now, but realize that is just a draft. It still has to go to the editor, and I might change things even just after tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I put it everywhere except for Twitter, so everybody should have access to it now.
Okay.
There we go.
So this topic is about taking your photos, your digital photos, and just sending them to somebody else, sharing them with somebody else. And I first want to talk a couple minutes about understanding why you're doing it, because there are lots of different ways. There is not just one way to share. There are lots of different ways. And make sure that you also know that unless you take steps to share your photos and or videos, nobody else can see them. Some people think just because your photos have gone onto the web, into the cloud, into your Google account, that means anybody can see them. No, 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 no. Only you, with your login, your password, and your two-step verification on your phone, only you can see them.
So if they get all that information, they pretty much got it. I'm just kidding.
Right. I mean, Jim can see my photos because he knows all my credentials. I've also shared my entire album with library with him, which is another thing. But so deciding what way to share pictures kind of depends on who you're sharing with and what the purpose is. So how do they like to receive photos? I mean, just because you can share using Google Photos doesn't mean you should. If you're sharing with Sally and Sally says, "Oh, I think I have Google Photos. Yeah, but I don't understand it. Can you please send them to me in a text message?" Then I think it's polite to send them to her in a text message. Because if you send them using the straight Google Photos to Google Photos, she might never see them or not know what to do with them when she does get them. So you need to know your audience, know your recipient. How do they like to receive photos? Are they used to getting them in a text message, in an email? Maybe they only look at Facebook and they're only going to see them if you post them on Facebook or Instagram. So find out how your recipient wants to receive them. And then what is your purpose? And use the method intended for that purpose. For example, are you giving a photo to somebody? Or are you just sharing all the pictures from your trip? Or are you wanting to make an album where for other people join in? And those are all very different reasons for sharing. So, and there's different methods for each of those.
Chris, once someone shares, I just want to clarify this because someone asked me this the other day. Once someone shares a photo to me through Google Photos, I can add it to my library, then it's mine. Yes. Once I've added it to my library. Is that correct?
Correct.
Am I saying that right? Okay. I just want to make sure I'm saying that right, because that's the way I explained it to them.
Correct. So for these purposes, the methods of sharing are the first two. Notice it says with people who use Google Photos. Oops, what did I do? Yeah. Sharing individual photos and videos with people who use Google Photos. I mean, these number 1 and 2 are the easiest ways, but only if you're sharing with somebody else who uses Google Photos. And then sharing albums with people who use Google Photos. That's very easy. And then you can share photos, videos, or albums with a link that anybody can see, even if they don't have a Google account. Number 4, sharing your entire library with one partner. And number 5, sharing to other apps like Facebook, email, or texting. And I want to specifically demo, 1, 2, 3, and I think 5 actually.
Whatever.
Yeah, but I'll probably be skipping 4. So let's see, what is my next?
This is a question that I've had and that has come up many times. Mike is asking, can you revoke that share later? Are you going to cover any of that, or can we talk about it now?
Because that also is something that just changed last week.
Okay.
When it comes to albums, you used to not be able to remove a person from an album, and you can now.
Okay.
But what Michael, let's do it, and maybe it'll make more sense. So I am going to share a photo with Michael, but remember my question. What's the purpose? So let's say that I'm just taking a picture of Michael, and I'm just going to take a picture of my computer screen here where Michael's face. He wants a picture of all 3 of us. So
there you go.
So I just took a picture of the screen because Michael said he wanted it. All right. Now, let me change my camera to the document camera. Come on.
Here, I'll go to just us while you're doing that. As soon as you have it, just let me know.
Yep.
Just as soon as you have it.
And
that way they don't have to see that. Any other comments up there, Heather, that we have going on with that? Or
yeah, Phil has a question in line with kind of what you asked, and I want to talk about it, but I think it's going to derail us from where we're sharing at the moment. So
okay,
we'll get to that.
Okay.
I want to make sure Phil knows we're going to get to that.
So this is my Samsung phone, but I can do the same thing on the iPhone. But I go to Google Photos, and there's the photo. It's not a real good one. I should crop it. I can't crop it.
She just can't. She just can't. You know.
Oh, but it's even blurry.
We'll pretend it's not blurry. We'll pretend.
Yeah, we're going to have to pretend that is a good picture.
Okay.
And no, there we go. There's the better one. Yeah.
There you go.
That one. All right. I will straighten it up a little bit, though. All right. Done. Crop and straighten.
Here's a question I think we can answer while you're doing that. If you want to share, this is from Roz, if you want to share to one person privately, do they have to have a Google account or Gmail email to be able to open it?
No. And that's how I'm going to share this one. So we're going to pretend here that Michael doesn't use Google Photos. Yeah, right. So I bring up the photo that I want to give him, and I tap on the share. And if I just choose him from up here, that is sending in Google Photos. But I say, nope, I don't want to send it in Google Photos. I just want to send it via an email. And I use Gmail. And look at what it's done. It's actually put the photo into the email.
Mm.
And now Michael does have a Gmail, but this does not have to be. So, photo and send. Now, can you show how you're receiving that, Michael?
Let me see if I can.
Is that too much?
No, that's not too much. No.
But the point here is I used Google Photos to send, but I'm just sending it via an email, and it is embedded in the email.
Would that do the same for a video file? Put it into an email?
Oh, good question. Well,
here I got an email from you. It's right here. I'm showing that on screen, and then I click on it. Then I have it as exactly the way you showed, how it's in just a picture or a video. There it is. So now I have it.
And that's just in your email, whether you're
That's
using
just
Gmail or Apple Mail or Outlook or anything. Okay. Well, and I'm pretty sure it works the same way. So I have a video up now. This is a video of our local wildlife. We have lots of iguanas around here. And so I tap the share, and I would tap the Gmail, and it looks like it. It looks like the MP4
As long as it's
file.
not too big. Yeah,
Right.
as long as it's not too big, right? That you'll just be limited by your email capability.
Right. Absolutely. And that's why it's really better to use the Google Photos method if your recipient does use Google Photos. So, because it's not going to be taking up space in their email or on their text messages, on their phones or so.
Like Peggy says, I have found that videos tend to be too large for the email, and then it gets converted into a link. And that's what I've experienced as well. If it's too big, that was just an 8-second video you shared or something.
Yes. Yeah. Just 8 or maybe.
All right.
12.
So let me see when I receive it. It should just come as a video, right? I'm sure it does, right? Here it is. Boom. And I can just click it and there's a problem. Couldn't play the video. I guess I don't have a player set up through my Gmail, maybe.
Or it just can't do it through the Gmail. Yeah, you have to download it. But in any case, it is there. And if you don't, and if your intention was to give you that video, then that's a good way to do it. You would want to download it to your computer.
Yeah,
but if your intention was just to let somebody see it, then that's a bad way of sharing because it takes up the space. So here is the direct Google Photos way. So I'm going to do that same picture and I'm going to tap share. But this time I will use this top row here, send in Google Photos. And Michael isn't on my first ones, but I can just search and I'm sure he's in here.
Somewhere.
There we go. And next. And this will be a conversation in Google Photos and send.
We're going to have a conversation about swipe texting, I think, one day.
Oh,
I know both of you do that, and I watch. It's like magic. Looks like magic to me. Anyway, back to our topic at hand.
Okay, so then, Michael, back to you and show how you received that, because this is different.
In Google Photos on the desktop?
Yeah. Now you should, if it's the first time I've communicated with you this way, and I think it might be, you would get an email, but you will also get a notification in your sharing. Yes, exactly, right there.
Okay.
That little red bubble should be indicating, yep, there you go. Chris Guld, new activity.
There we go.
And you see where my text is written above it too. Now you can write in the say something below it and, say pretty bad picture or whatever. Here is something. And also notice where it says save to library. And you don't need to, you can look at it here in your Google Photos sharing anytime you want to. But if you did want it to be in your library and you save to library, then that makes a copy. Okay.
That makes it so it's mine when I show my photos, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because if you go to your photos right now, it's not listed there, right?
No.
Right.
So it's not there as today's picture, but it is in your sharing.
In the sharing.
So if I were to add it, I can hit save to library. So I'm going to do that so everybody can kind of see. I saved a library. So now it will show up in there.
Yep.
Maybe.
And it will be based on the date it was taken, correct?
Correct. So
if I shared a picture, if you had shared that picture and that picture was from last year, it wouldn't be in that spot right there.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Then I have to
just so you know, that swipe stuff is just crazy. And that was really impressive texting. They totally agree with me on that.
I love that.
Okay.
That's me.
But do you realize what we're looking at here in the sharing section? So you see the round circle here? The round means this is a conversation I'm having with Michael. There's what I said, there's the picture I sent, there's what he said. And I can say something back, I can add a picture to it or not. This is just like text messaging, but it's in Google Photos. The squares are shared albums, but let me go and show you. So here's another circle, which means this is a conversation between me and Jim.
That's awesome.
And here is a 17-minute video that I shared with him, and it can be played on mine or on his. And there's an image and there's text, and it goes all the way back. So this is a running conversation. I've done a lot. We've been putting a lot of pictures back and forth in this running conversation.
So the circle is conversation. The square is album. Does it automatically become an album?
What?
I'm sorry. Does this automatically become an album in your albums?
No.
Okay,
no.
Good.
That somebody is what has changed. Okay, let's go back to my screen.
Is this only on mobile, or does it look that way on?
It looks this
desktop
way
as well.
Desktop as well.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So back to your screen. Okay. Oh, hold on. Let me take my screen off.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's go to your screen. Let's go here. There we go.
Okay. So what we just did is shared in Google Photos, individual photos, not an album, with one person or two people or three people. I didn't want to take the time, but I could have added Heather to that conversation, and then it would be like a group chat.
I got to go to this. Thank you, Eileen. Bless you. Appreciate you. Awesome. Love it. Thank you.
And now if people are saying, wait a minute, I haven't seen that before. Well, it's been around for a little while, but it was new last December. That conversation thing is new last December. And
the round versus square wasn't so very obvious to me. It wasn't until you pointed out that there were round versus square that I even noticed it. So
right. Well, so here we are on my computer, and if I go to sharing,
it's going to put this up here. Thank you, Russ, for circle equals conversation, square equals album.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. And so here is the same thing. And notice this is one that is a group conversation. It has both Alan and Marilyn in it. This one is a conversation just with Jim. And then here are albums. Now, what I wish, and here's one with three people in a group conversation. What I do wish is I cannot see any way to know which were albums that somebody else shared with me versus ones that I shared with somebody else.
Oh, so it's based on the title.
Yeah. I just happen to know that this Mike Elgin's Nice Book is not my album. That's something that he shared. And I know that this one that says 2020-05 May is mine. So I shared that.
Interesting. Now, I thought that sharing was what people shared with me. I never realized it is sharing back and forth all in that one area. I never looked at it like that. You just opened my eyes to that.
Yeah, so this is my album, and I can tell because when I open it up, I'm the first one, and it says that I am the owner.
Okay. Now, Phil has a good question here. Can you search that conversation?
Ooh, good question. I have no idea. So you mean here, this one that I've been keeping for a while, I can say, let's see if there's something on here.
Well, that map might have been on there as searchable.
So, but
where's the search bar?
I don't see any search. No.
Yeah.
No, I don't see any search. Huh. But the weird thing about this to me is so let's say I got a message a week or two ago from my friend Alex. Now, let me see. Was that in a text message? Was it in an email? Was it on WhatsApp? Was it in Facebook? I sometimes am hunting and hunting and hunting. Now I have to add one more to that list.
Yeah, photos.
Was it in the photos sharing section?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, it's definitely a private way of sharing. So
Hans is asking a question. Is there a maximum how many people can be in a group conversation?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't done it with more than 4, but as you.
Yeah, and I guess mine is a shared album. Now that you've pointed that out to me, I thought it was a conversation, but nope, it's an album. And there's at least 20 of us in that. I don't think there's a limit to how many you can share the album with.
Conversation into an album?
Can you move a conversation into an album? Don't.
Like the 3 dots maybe, and
right.
Control F to search maybe? Question mark. Interesting.
That's a good idea.
Jalen says at the very top of the shared section, there's a search box, which is true when you're in the sharing, like where you're at right now. There is a search box for sure.
That's just the main Google Photos search.
Right.
I was just going to say that's for all of your photos, right?
Right.
Which does include your shared albums, doesn't it? Because I've had things pop up when.
But only your photos in any shared.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
But let's say
it has to move to your library in order for it to be come up in a search.
When you're in I call this a conversation. So it has photos and text. You can look at just the photos. See this button up here where it says all photos? Let's say I don't want to bother with all the words. I just want to see the photos.
Oh, okay.
There.
Oh, neat.
And now I guess I could select. Yeah, I could select and make an album. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So where there's a will, there's a way.
Even if those are not your photos, but rather photos that were shared with you, you can do that?
I don't know.
It's hard to tell because know that you're sharing those back and forth, so it's hard to tell.
Right. I would think that if I have not saved them to the library, I would not be able to put them in an album. That's what I expect. But that would take a little bit more testing.
All right, here's another question from Peggy. If you share a link to an album in an email to a group of people, will it show up as a shared album? And where do you mean by that? In the email, will it show up as a shared album or in your shared
I take
area
that
right
mean,
here?
Will it be in this sharing section? And yes, it will.
We're at 40 minutes right now. I don't care. I don't care how much time we take. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, because we
just
do
one
have
more then.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, Jim.
I really love the picture of him with all the hair.
Yes,
that was my favorite picture.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but since you mentioned it, Jim.
That's some quarantine haircut. Is what that is. Where'd it go? It was up here. Yeah.
Right there. I love that picture. It's looking a little crazy Albert Einstein-ish. I'm just saying.
His quarantine haircut.
He's a genius. Yeah.
Okay. Now for an album, let's say we just have some great flowers around here. And I think that I need to make an album out of flowers, and I want to share that album. So I can just select a bunch. Oh, the frangipansies, they're so great. I love those little guys. All right. And the orchids and the fireworks. Okay, so I have 6 photos selected, and I can make an album out of that. And I'm just going to make a new album and call it Chris Flowers. And check mark. Okay. So right now, this album is for my eyes only. because I created I have not shared it. If I click on the little chair here, I get the same options that I did when I just had a picture. But here's what's new as of last week, is if you share with an individual person. So I'm Michael again. It used to be, and I can say something. Flowers, right? It used to be that behind the scenes, it was still making a public link to that album. And it's not true anymore. So when Michael receives this, he can add Heather to it, but he cannot get a link that he can just post on Facebook to it.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't
Individual
realize you
share.
could do that before.
And that's new. When
So
you
that's a
share
good
it that
new.
way. If you are concerned about privacy, there was a big brouhaha that people were upset. That nobody ever gets upset at Google, right?
Yeah, right.
People were
that's
upset
funny.
that they thought they were sharing with just one person. And yet, if anybody saw that,
it on Facebook or something, then they could click the link and get in too. I got you.
yeah.
I
And
got
now
you.
you can make it private. If you want to make it public, though, I mean, so for example, let's say, I mean, there's nothing private about this. It's a bunch of flowers. And yes, I do want to put a link on my blog, a link to all of these. Then I can click create link. And
the other person
that's
can't,
how
though.
I share.
The other person,
That's how.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Michael, you try it. I shared that album with you. Go to your Google Photos and see if you can get a link. And it better not make a liar out of me.
See if I can get a link.
It is kind of, it's a little bit complicated. It's been complicated for me to get my head around.
Let's see. I go in my sharing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Here, Jolin wants to know, does he share from the album or from the email? That's a great question.
I shared the album just through Google Photos to Google Photos.
Right. But then what does Michael do?
Well, let us
Okay, I see it now. It just showed up. So here, let me go over to my screen, add to screen. Okay, Chris Flowers.
Okay.
I can open that up. Nice flowers, right? Continue.
Okay. Now, notice he can click on the little plus. Yeah, okay, that too. That he can click on the little plus and add Heather.
Okay.
So he can one-to-one share this album with one other person, adding her to the album. But he cannot create a public link. Yep. Notice that the create link button at the bottom is not there.
Yeah.
What about sharing the link up in the URL? That doesn't work either?
No.
You wouldn't be able to have permission to that?
Correct. Right.
Okay.
The URL, yeah, it's not.
Oh, I love what Flo said. What a great way to share genealogical finds with everyone. I absolutely agree with you.
I'm going to share this with Heather, so maybe she'll paint it.
So when Jolin asked, does he share from the album or from the email? What did the email say? Were you able to share from there, or do you absolutely have to open it before you can even have any permissions?
When I sent him a photo to his email, I just gave him that photo.
Okay.
And then
it shows up as a JPEG. I can use it just like anything else. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right.
So it's just, yeah.
But now, if you really want to share, if you're not all concerned about privacy, the easiest way is what you say, Heather, is with a link. So I am the owner of this album, so I can
share that link out.
I can still get a link, create link.
It's just that no one else can. So even if somebody else goes and they see that album, Do they become like if you put this out on Facebook, this is great. This is flowers. I want to put this out on my Facebook, and it's a link, and somebody clicks on that Facebook link. Do they become part of that album as well now?
No.
No. Okay. That's just letting them look at your album. That's it.
Right.
Okay.
So if I go to Facebook, and how about I'll do it to our Geeks on Tour page, so anybody could go see this then.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching, photo sharing.
Right. So back to what Jolyn was asking, but we're talking about the sharing of an album. So yes, so he would need to go into the album, then either click the plus sign and add whomever to
Someone
it.
else. Yeah.
Or the link if it were a public link that he could share, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when I post that,
now that's a public link.
That is a public link. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we were to go to Facebook, all of us, we could actually all go see those, but still not be a part of the album. Is that the way I understand it? Or am I muddying the waters?
Correct. You don't even have to have a Google account. You do not even have to have a Google account to click on a link to an album or to an individual picture. I mean, I could have got a link to an individual picture, but I made a link to an album there. Anybody can see that link to that album.
That's great.
If they can figure out Facebook.
When hey, that's for a different show.
Yeah,
so when I opened up that link from your Facebook page right there, I opened it in an incognito window, and I'm now looking at Chris Flowers' album with all of those and 2 comments made on it, and I can see all of that, but I have no way to leave a comment, and I can make the images bigger, but I can't like it and I can't make a comment on it. But
if you're in an incognito now, if you do open it in a window where you are logged into your Google account, then you can join, but it doesn't do it automatically.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for example, when we were on our Australia, New Zealand trip, we made this album. We started it on the first day. We sent the link out to our whole mailing list, and a lot of people clicked the join. Once they do that, whenever we added new photos to the album, they got a notification. And they were able to leave comments and like. So we had our own little semi-private social network for our trip where people were seeing our photos.
That was kind of similar to what I've been doing since we took off with Craft Shack on the Go, and I've loved it, and I think so have the people who have been a part of that. I think it's a great way, another like truly social media sharing situation, and I love that they made a few changes so you know that you can be a little bit more comfortable with what you're sharing with other people. For some people, it doesn't matter. I know that, but I feel better about it. Honey is asking this question. Are you sharing this through your computer, not your phone? And either way would work exactly the same way.
Right. Either way. I mean, everything I've shown works on iPhone, on Android, and on web. Oh, there's one thing. There's one thing that only works on web right now, and that is to remove a person. Okay, so
refresh. Yeah, I was going to say if you refresh, I'm there.
Okay.
Oh,
so let's say
Russ even joined.
I see that Michael added Heather, and I say, oh no. Heather has much better flower pictures. She doesn't want to see these. That was a mistake. What you do is you click on any of these, and then there's 3 dots next to each person, and I could remove her.
Now, can anybody remove, or are you the only one? Only the owner.
Only the owner. Like this from Mark. Since you're removing me, I need to say this. I love Heather's shared photo album. I love being included. I'm not making a stance or anything, but I also love being included.
Well, I won't have to take you off, but I just until last week, this option did not exist.
Oh, wow.
Block person was the only option that existed. So this I do think is really great, because you might have added somebody by mistake, or somebody that you don't want on there. So
if you remove somebody, if you remove Heather, then Russ can turn around and add her right back, right? That could just go back on and on and on. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Well, let me try. That's what we're here. We're here to play, right?
Block. Just don't say block. I'm gonna cry.
See, but my only choice before last week was to block, and then they can't join again.
I'm adding
I got
Heather.
a 404 when I refreshed it.
I'm adding Heather.
404.
Now you won't, because I just added
back
you.
in. Whoo, I'm back in.
Back.
Now I will say this. If just refreshing the link, I was able to be back on it. But if I had lost that link, it would be in my shared again as a notification that I was added, right? As if it had started that process over. Okay.
Thank you, Mert. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's awesome. What a great person.
Peggy, I got to put this one up from Peggy. She's such a sad face. Include her. All right. Ron wants to know, let's get back to real things. What's the difference between B? What is the difference between, I'm sorry, block and remove? Block and remove.
Yeah, remove is temporary, block is permanent.
Okay.
So then they couldn't come back.
No, if you blocked them, not only can they not come back to that album, I think they cannot join any album of yours.
Oh my gosh, let's not test that one. I would really cry.
Really, it was nasty.
Peggy, this is a great point, because I've had this happen before. Sometimes people's names in your contacts may be very similar, and you click on the wrong one, and that is actually a good reason to remove somebody from your album. Like, I did not mean you, Aunt Joni. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And notice what we have over here too. See the activity when people comment and like. I mean, so Russ here clicked the little heart, which means like. You get this activity. But if you don't want to see the activity, now I'm just seeing the album. If I want to see the activity, that's what this little speech bubble is about. That's now awesome. On a phone, it's it's either or, because their screen is
there's only much space. So only so much space.
So you just have to realize that if you clicked on activity on the phone, you can click back on all photos and switch it back to the all photos.
Right. Wow.
All right.
So much.
Cool.
So much.
We are gonna have we got a little bit of time for the after show. Anyway, go ahead.
I do want to say I told Phil we would get back to this, so I kind of wanted to touch on this just before we left. I know we're going to talk about the community and having members in, but just give me a second. I've got to find it, because it's really, really crazy what he says is happening.
That's fine.
To his photos.
But I appreciate again our friendship and that kind of stuff, and the communities join together. A lot of your communities out here, some of your community members have actually become members of our community, and I appreciate that too. That's pretty awesome. We've actually had issues with having other people's photos in our account.
And then to clarify, it's people that they don't know. So then a couple of us tried to answer saying, like, maybe added it to your library or whatever, but he says it just shows up with our other photos. Like I say, these are strangers, and we never click on any links or anything from people we don't know. So seems pretty weird. I wonder, now Phil is a member of our community, and he's definitely, I'm sure, going to join us after the fact to be able to talk with you. But in case someone out there watching was having issues with this, would you have any suggestions, or have you ever heard of this?
Oh yeah, there's been threads in the support forums that people say that, and anyone that I have joined in and followed has always come to a resolution of figuring out where those photos come from. That it is like that
someone inviting another someone that invited
or like
another
a WhatsApp,
someone
or like a WhatsApp. Maybe you're in a WhatsApp group that is sharing photos, and they get saved to your phone, and photos saved to your phone get up, you have that included in your Google Photos, and they get uploaded. So it's a photo that you think you've never seen before, and then there's every time I have investigated it, we have come to a resolution.
But it has to do
Okay.
with them actually sharing that out unknowingly or something, or they're in a part of a group where, hey, we don't know who this person is. How did this get in here? Right? I mean, is that kind of, am I saying that right? And it's just because
I'm saying it's coming from somewhere else.
Oh,
coming
I see.
from somewhere else, but it's on your phone, so Google Photos picks it up.
Oh, I see.
And that
I gotcha.
has to
That's
do
what
with
I'm
how you
saying.
sync your photos to
okay.
stuff, right?
To
Because
what device?
not
Yeah, to
because
what
I
app?
know that in my phone, and this is a whole different topic. Maybe we have to have you back on to have this conversation. But I know that not every one of my folders where my photos get saved is actually backed up to my Photos app.
Exactly.
So like if I took a picture within my texting app, I have a texting app, and within that app, I take a picture. That picture is not in my photos because I do not back those up. Now, if I did, then every text message I got as a picture from anyone in my family, which, oh Lord, that's scary, would be then added to my photos.
Well,
And
only
that would be
save them to your
strangers
phone.
because I do get those
But yeah.
texts from people. But yeah,
Right. Device
yeah,
folders.
it's weird.
Mark. True.
Yeah.
You still have to save it.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it came in a text message doesn't mean that it got stored to your phone. You would still have to save it to your phone. But
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cross-pollinating community.
Cross-pollinating communities. Exactamundo.
Well, we've had some
We're going to
members
talk
move over.
about this, Phil. We're going to talk about this. See you in the after show for sure, buddy.
Well, he can't.
Oh, he
says he
can't
can't.
tonight?
No, I said
Oh,
unfortunately he
man.
can't.
Oh, man.
okay, then
Well, for those of you who can,
Backstage pass.
it's a really
that's
cool
right.
it's a really cool option for Tinkering with Tech community members, and we'd love for you to join the community. It's $10 a month. The link is down in the description to learn about all of the things that you get when you become a member. And we've kind of automated the process a little bit, so you can actually join, and then we'll be notified, and we'll send you a link to come into the after party today, where you can talk with Chris if she'll let us have at least 5 more minutes. That was me doing a wrap up real quick.
That's right. Tinkeringwithtech.net. Also, go to tinkeringwithtech.net. It tells you about what we do and all that kind of stuff. You can learn a little bit about us. Chris, thank you so much. Always
My
a pleasure having you. I just can't believe Jim didn't sneak in for just a second. It's crazy. I really thought he would have at least for a second or so, but no, that's awesome. We'll see him in the after show.
He'll be in the after show, yeah.
There you go. All right. I'm going to take us out. If you guys are ready, we'll see you guys, all you folks in the backstage pass area. Thank you so much for coming on. We really, really do appreciate it. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.